Hey, all, Johnny Mullet here, and today we are going to show you guys what to look for and what to check before purchasing an E-Series Ford Econoline style schoolie. So if you are interested in a schoolie project or even a large van project, the E-Series is a very common vehicle. This vehicle was just purchased by a local church and they want us to look it over. So this being a Pennsylvania vehicle, one of the first things I notice is the inspection has been expired for some time now, since this is almost 2020 now, so there is one red flag. Visually, when you want to look over a vehicle like this, you want to look for rust. As you see, there's a little down here, and actual body has some rust too. And let's come on around and look over here. I see there's a spray foam. That could be a bad sign. A little rust here. Another red flag I see is we have cargo straps holding the bumper. And we also see the rear door has a little bit of rot going on. Rust can be a bad issue. It depends on how bad it is. So, first thing we want to do here is get inside. Okay, we are inside the bus. This particular bus got about 135,000 miles on it. You got to test drive anything before you buy it. Always test drive before you buy. Most of these E-Series vehicles do not require a CDL. So you should have no problem driving one. Let's start this bitch up. Started up good. Battery seems good. This is a gasoline engine version, not a diesel. First thing I do notice is there is an airbag light on right there. So there is a problem with the airbag system. While you're in the vehicle, while it's running, make sure your heater works. Make sure your controls switch from the vent to the defrost and then to the floor. If it's equipped with air conditioning, not a bad idea to turn the air on and see if it works. Alright, let's take this baby for a ride. First things first, we're going to step on the brake pedal, make sure it's not soft, make sure it don't go to the floor. If it does, do not test drive the vehicle. Okay, so while we're going on this test drive, I'm going to go over a couple little bumps here, make sure I don't hear anything, out of the ordinary, popping, clanking, banging. Don't be afraid to give it a little bit of gas. If it can't take 10 minutes of whomping, it's not going to last you. Seems to shift good. It seems to handle okay. It doesn't seem to be dragging. It's not pulling one way or another. The next thing you want to do is pretty much get it up to, cruising speed, highway speed, and give the brakes a good hit. Make sure the steering wheel doesn't shimmy or shake or anything out of the ordinary. Make sure it doesn't pull left, pull right, that sort of thing. So, very important. The brakes seem to feel okay, but that doesn't tell you exactly if it needs brakes or not. So, like I said, while you're test driving it, you want to look at the gauges. Make sure the temperature gauge works. Make sure it's not overheating. You want to check and make sure the oil pressure is good. Check your gauges, your speedometer, that sort of thing. Stuff that you don't want to mess with down the road. So take it for a good test drive. Most of these vehicles, the E-Series, you do not need a CDL. If you can't test drive your vehicle, don't buy it. It's that simple. Never buy anything unless you can test drive it. So after the good thorough test drive, you want to check your gauges, check your turn signals, make sure everything seems to be in line. And now we're going to take it into the shop and we're going to check this baby out. So after your initial test drive, what you want to do is you want to have an assistant shake the wheel if you have an assistant. It's a pretty good idea to have somebody come in here and just simply go like this, back and forth. You don't have to go all the way back and forth, but just a little shake back and forth, just like this. And then what I will do is I will go under the vehicle and show you exactly what we're going to look for while somebody is shaking the wheel for you. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I just need someone to shake the wheel back and forth a little bit for me so we can see what's going on down here. That looks okay. Keep going. We want to check it all here. Yep. All right. Yeah, that seems good. Thank you very much. So it's time to do a under the hood inspection. There's not really a whole lot to see under the hood from an E-Series because it's a pretty crowded compartment here, but one easy thing you can do is this air filter system is very common on these. They've used it for years. This little piece here just kind of wiggles right off, just like that. And then you have this clamp right here, and that will release the air filter housing. And as you can see, this air filter here, it's a little dirty. It should be replaced. Another thing you want to look for is you want to look at the Serpentine Belt. Let me shine some light in here for you so you can see. Do you see those cracks on the belt? Let me get this light just right. You can see those fine little cracks. That Serpentine Belt needs to be replaced. You can't trust that going down the road. There's a good chance it's going to fail. And if you lose the belt, you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose your steering, your alternator power, pretty much everything. So the Serpentine Belt should be replaced. Another thing I noticed when I was driving the vehicle is I heard a small exhaust leak. And if the vehicle is anywhere from the Rust Belt area, very common. This one here is the 6.8 liter V10, and another common engine is the 5.4 liter V8 gasoline engine. If you hear an exhaust leak on one of these vehicles and it's from the Rust Belt area, it's most commonly an exhaust manifold issue. Do you see what I see here? There is a broken stud right there. There's a broken stud there. The exhaust is leaking from the exhaust manifold. And this is a very tight quarters work area, and this is going to be an expensive repair. This is not an easy fix. You're talking an hours and hours of extraction. There's a good chance that the bolts are just going to snap right off and you're going to end up drilling them out. Not a very, very easy job at all, and it's going to be very, very expensive. So definitely keep that in mind. If you hear any kind of exhaust leak, you want to look into the wheel wells, take a look at the exhaust manifolds, and make sure that they don't have any broken bolts or any other problems there. So let's move on. So if you're doing a pre-inspection on one of these vehicles and you're thinking about purchasing one, you really can't take jacks and lug wrenches and start pulling wheels and all kinds of stuff, but you can get a general idea of what the brakes look like. If this has a wheel simulator, it's going to be a lot harder to see inside the wheel, but you can usually look inside these wheel slots and you can take a look at the brake lining. I mean, it's not a very clear picture here because I'm on a crappy cell phone camera, but you can look inside the wheels and look at the brake lining and see what you got. And this one here seems to have okay brakes on the front. I mean, they're not the greatest, but they seem to be there. And then to look at the rear brakes, you got to go underneath the vehicle, but also the front. So what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath and take a look from the backside. Okay, so we're underneath the vehicle. This vehicle I actually have on jack stands right now, so you're not going to have that opportunity, but you can usually fit under these vehicles and look. So your brake caliper is right here, and if you look inside these holes here, you can see the brake lining. I'm trying to get a good shot for you guys, but it's not easy to see. But there's the rotor, and there's the pad. So yeah, that's not too bad. The brakes look pretty decent. So let's roll on to the back wheels and take a look back there. if your E-Series has dual rear wheels, you're not going to see much through the front. The only way to really see the brakes is through the backside. So we're going to roll in here and take a look. There's the brake caliper, and I can already see, you can see right there, that rear brake pad is about gone. It's all crumbly and crappy. So rear brakes are definitely needed. The rotors look pretty rusty too. So right off the bat there, it's going to need a rear brake job. You can really see it right there. There's not much brake lining left. It's all crumbly and falling apart. So that's going to cost you some money right off the bat. Now the other side, I already have the wheels off, so we can get a better look at the brakes. But I'm going to warn you, getting the wheels off of one of these E-Series vehicles, no matter the year, it's going to be a pain. So we can get a better look at the brakes in here, and this thing is going to need brakes and rotors. They're terrible. And in order to replace these rotors, it requires removing the axle, removing the bearings, and pulling the hub after you remove the caliper. So you're looking at seals and rotors and brake pads and generally all kinds of work. It can be very expensive after a while. So if you are a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy and you think you're just going to go ahead and do some rear brakes on an E-Series with dual rear wheels, I got some news for you. The wheels never come off of these vehicles. Ford has been this way for years and years, and I don't know why they've never changed the setup or made something different, but these lug nuts have been off since yesterday, and I've been soaking it with penetrating oil, and let me show you. So, yeah, not very easy to remove the wheels. So, being like a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy, you're in for some major sledgehammer swinging to get those wheels off. Just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so we're going to do an under-vehicle inspection. We're going to look underneath the vehicle and see if we can find anything bad. That rust I showed you earlier, it's not rotten. Basically a wear spot from where somebody's leg or foot keeps coming in. So the rocker panel, yeah, there's a little bit of rust repair, but not too bad. So let's light this baby up. You want to look at the frame. She's got some rust on it. You know, being from the salt belt, anywhere in the rust area, you're going to find rust. But I want to show you what good rust and bad rust looks like. We're going to take a look at the drive line on this vehicle. Look at the drive shaft. That's not a bad idea to, let me set my light up here, if I can. Terrible. All this metal and nothing wants to stick. It's not a bad idea to grab the drive shaft and, you know, twist it back and forth and, you know, shake it. Make sure you don't have a loose U-joint. Looks like this U-joint was replaced. It's fairly new. Do that all the way down the drive line. Another thing you want to look at is the exhaust system, especially where the gaskets and seals are. You know, make sure there's no leaks. I mean, you're going to find rusty exhaust even on a non-rusty vehicle, but you want to look at the muffler. Make sure it's not leaking anywhere. Continue on down to the drive shaft. You know, and do the same thing I told you there earlier, is you know, grab a hold of it, shake it, make sure there's no play, make sure it's not loose. And then let's go take a look at the actual body of the vehicle. There's the cross member there. You know, there's a heat shield there. There's another cross member. Here's the shocks. Make sure the shocks don't have oil leaking out of them. Make sure they're not loose. Let's go on around to the back. You want to look at the fuel tank straps. These hold the fuel tank in. I mean, these are a little rusty, but they're all there. They're not bad. They're not terrible. You got the frame, like I said, it's got some rust, but it's not entirely rotten. Now, we're back here where the body is, okay? Now, this kind of rust here is not just surface rust. This is actual rot. When you see, you can crumble it. See that? This is rotten. That is rotten. That's going to require repairs. So you're looking at lots and lots of money for rust repair. When you see flaking scale like this, that means it's already rotten. There's a difference between surface rust like this on this thicker piece of metal. I mean, it's got some rot here. You can see that. So it's not unsafe in any way, but rust repairs, like I said, they get expensive after time, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. So you definitely want to take a look, make sure the vehicle is not too rotten. And if you're going to build a Schoolie out of an E-Series like this, you got to make sure the floor's in good shape. You know, you want to look up in here and make sure the floor don't have any holes in it. And the best place to look would be in the wheel well area. So, you know, it don't look too bad, but there's a lot of rust. So there you go. You got a general idea of what to look at if you're looking at an E-Series, Econoline Series van chassis for a bus build. The 6.8 liter and 5.4 liter are not bad gasoline engines. They're pretty reliable. They're not bad. They do have some issues, but all in all, they're not too bad. If you're going to get a diesel version, stay away from the 6.0 liter diesel engine. The 7.3 diesel is the way to go if you really want a diesel in an E-Series van chassis. Now, granted, the van chassis is going to make it a lot harder to work on because it's a very tight quarter, but the 7.3 diesel is a very, very good, reliable engine. Not too bad to work on. So now you have a general idea of what to look at when you're looking at an E-Series van. This particular vehicle here, with needing the belt, the rear brakes, the rear rotors and wheel seals, and the exhaust repairs, you know, we're looking at around $3,000 in repairs. So if I was looking at this vehicle for, let's suppose, a Schoolie build, I wanted to turn this particular van into a Schoolie, would I buy it? Probably not. The only way I would buy something like this with that amount of rust is if I got it dirt cheap. And I'm talking, for this vehicle here, I'd offer $1,000. That's as far as I would go. I mean, that's actually a little on the high side if you ask me, but it does run and drive good. I mean, I probably wouldn't turn this into a Schoolie. I would probably use it as something different, maybe as a hauling vehicle or something else. I mean, the pluses are the air conditioner works, the auxiliary air conditioner works, the auxiliary heaters work, the floor is pretty solid, it has good windows, the body is in fair condition. The rust I showed you underneath, it's not terrible. I mean, I've seen a lot worse. It can be repaired, and if you don't really want to get into an expensive repair for rust like that, you can slow it down. There are products out there where you can scale the rust off of that metal and then treat it, and it'll last a lot longer. But I just wanted to share this video with you if you're interested in buying an E-Series van chassis. General look over of what to look for and what their common problems are. So I hope this helps somebody out there. If you're looking at an E-Series for your Schoolie project or whatever project you're looking at, the E-Series is not a bad choice. You just got to know what to look for. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.